What if I told you that sometimes the truth isn't just stranger than fiction, it's far more terrifying. We live in a world where we believe in order, in justice. We trust that for every crime there is a culprit, that for every question there is an answer waiting to be found. But the shadows of our reality hide stories that defy this very belief. Stories where the clues are all there, laid out like a roadmap to a monster. Fingerprints are lifted, witnesses give their chilling accounts, yet the final chapter is never written. The killer, the perpetrator, the ghost in the machine simply vanishes. These are real events that tore through real communities, leaving scars that refuse to heal. They find a weapon. They find DNA. They might even find a clear footprint, leading away from the horror. The puzzle remains incomplete, a haunting mosaic of what happened, but never who did it. It all began with a search for someone else. In May of 2010, a young woman named Shannon Gilbert vanished into the night. The search led them to Ocean Parkway, a place of stark, lonely beauty. In December 2010, a police dog, drawn by a scent, led his handler into the tangled brush. There, they found the skeletal remains of a woman wrapped in burlap. It wasn't Shannon Gilbert. Just days later, as the search intensified, 3 more bodies were found, each one wrapped in the same coarse burlap material. All were young, petite, and had worked as escorts, advertising online. This meant the killer had been active for at least 3 years. He was patient, he was methodical. This was the dumping ground of a serial killer. The killer was a ghost in the physical world, but in the virtual one, he left faint, chilling echoes. He often used burner phones to avoid being traced. A new phone, a new number, a new untraceable identity for each victim, but he made a mistake. After Melissa Barthélemy disappeared, he used her phone to make taunting calls to her teenage sister, Amanda. The calls were traced to high-traffic Manhattan areas. He hid in the crowd, daring the police. For over a decade, the case went cold. The evidence screamed, but no face was found. The year was 1946. In the quiet twin cities of Texarkana, a youthful tradition would become the hunting ground for a hooded monster. The first attack came on February 22nd. A young couple parked on a secluded road. His face was hidden by a crude white mask. He brutally assaulted them, but they survived. 1 month later, he struck again. Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore were found dead in their car. It was clear the attacker had escalated, his thirst for violence growing more deadly. The Phantom Killer, as the press had dubbed him, was far from finished. On April 14th, he claimed 2 more lives. Teenagers Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker. The phrase "the town that dreaded sundown" became Texarkana's bleak new identity. Homes became fortresses against the night. The Phantom had taken the town hostage without showing his face. On May 3rd, he changed his method, invading a home. He killed Verl Starks and severely wounded his wife, Katie. Investigators found a flashlight at one scene that did not belong to the victims. Surely it belonged to the killer. But the flashlight was clean. It was another dead end. As if the Phantom was toying with them. One man, UL Swinney, became the primary suspect. After his wife confessed he was the killer, but his wife was deemed an unreliable witness and could not be forced to testify. He was never tried for Phantom remains a faceless monster who walked out of the darkness and after a spring of pure terror walked right back into it. The date was June 10th, 1912. In the peaceful town of VILLISCA, Iowa, the Moore family attended the Children's Day program at church. The next morning, a neighbor noticed the silence. The morning chores were undone. Concerned, she called Josiah Moore's brother, Ross. After his knocks went unanswered, he let himself in. In the downstairs bedroom, he made a terrible discovery. He didn't dare look further. The peace of VILLISCA had been shattered. The marshal arrived to find a scene of pure carnage. Josiah and Sarah Moore had been brutally murdered in their sleep. Upstairs, the nightmare continued. The 4 Moore children and 2 visiting friends had all met the same horrific fate. 8 people, 6 of them children, wiped out. The weapon, an axe belonging to Josiah Moore, was found left behind. The crime scene was bizarre. The killer had covered the faces of every victim and every mirror in the house. In the attic, 260 butts were found, suggesting a patient killer who hid and waited for the family to fall asleep. Several suspects were investigated, including a rival businessman and a traveling minister, but the case against each fell apart. To this day, no one has ever been convicted for the slaughter of 8 people. The killer got away with it completely. We have walked through the darkest corridors of history. Each story is woven with threads of compelling, concrete evidence. Yet, each one ends with the same deafening silence. These cases haunt us because they defy our fundamental need for resolution. They prove that sometimes the evidence isn't enough. The final haunting question is a simple one. Could they still be solved? In an age of advancing technology, hope is a stubborn thing. Old clues could hold new secrets, waiting for that one piece of new technology, or that one lucky break. These stories serve as a stark reminder of the fallibility of justice and the darkness that can erupt in the most ordinary of places. The files remain open, and the ghosts of these victims and their spectral killers continue to wander, forever asking the one question we can never answer: who got away with murder?